Consciousness does not end with the final breath. It unfolds in a boundless space where time slows and the echoes of choice linger. In between lives, the space of infinite awareness. We explore what that space might be by weaving near-death accounts, clinical observations, and ancient wisdom into one coherent map. You'll hear personal stories, scientific perspectives, and cross-cultural insights that challenge what we think we know about memory, identity, and the nature of existence. If you're curious about carrying fragments of self beyond birth and how that could shape the way you live today, this video offers a clear, thoughtful journey into the possibilities awaiting between lifetimes. Defining the between-lives space. Across many metaphysical traditions, the between-lives space is described as a non-physical realm where the soul rests between mortal lifetimes and undergoes life review, planning, and preparation for upcoming incarnations. Time is described as fluid there. Descriptions converge on a sense that the space preserves memory while offering a different tempo than ordinary waking life. Guides and cohorts may accompany the journey. In these accounts, the space often features a council, mentors, and a higher self that helps interpret past experiences and map future themes. A calm, luminous environment is frequently described. Practitioners report symbolic landscapes such as libraries of life possibilities, corridors of choice, or rooms dedicated to healing old wounds. These images serve as metaphors, not fixed locations. Access is commonly explored through structured regression work, guided meditation, or contemplative practices that claim to quiet the analytical mind long enough for perceptual shifts. Clients describe life contracts. They may recount choosing an upcoming family pattern, a thematic lesson, or a vocation that aligns with unresolved issues from past lifetimes. Skeptics note variability in memory and interpretation. The practical value cited by participants includes greater clarity about personal values, improved forgiveness of others, and a sense of continuity that informs day-to-day decision-making. Critics remind that no widely accepted scientific standard confirms the space as an objective location. For those who explore it, maintaining critical awareness and using the insights as symbolic guidance can be more helpful than treating them as literal facts. Working with reputable practitioners and grounding experiences in personal discernment is advised. The architecture of infinite awareness. In many traditions that explore consciousness between incarnations, the architecture is described as non-physical yet highly organized. The space of infinite awareness is imagined as a living structure that arranges experiences as lesson rooms, memory vaults, and planning chambers. Its design uses perceptual cues like light, geometry, and vibration to indicate function without material substance. A central nucleus houses core intentions, while surrounding galleries reflect the themes a soul is currently processing. Corridors of recall connect past experiences to future opportunities, and elevators of intent move consciousness between states of reflection and preparation. The overall effect is practical, a navigable map that aims to support growth rather than mystify. At the core of this architecture lies a council-like continuity of presence that practitioners describe as guiding, but not controlling, the path ahead. A hall of resonance gathers impressions from across lifetimes, with walls that seem to pulse in harmony with the soul's evolving pattern. A library of life projects stores potential lifetimes as interconnected chapters, each one offering a different emphasis on learning, service, or relationship dynamics. A chamber of decisions presents a spectrum of possible choices, allowing for soft revisions rather than hard, fixed outcomes. Paths between rooms are not rigid corridors, but living arcs that respond to intention and attention. Mirrors and reflective surfaces are sometimes described, revealing tendencies rather than certainties and inviting honest self-observation. The architecture supports inquiry through tangible metaphors that readers and practitioners can work with in daily life. Imagine a seeker moving through a library and selecting themes to study in their next incarnation, then consulting a council to hear gentle feedback about how those themes might unfold. A workshop of traits offers exercises to refine capacities such as compassion, discernment, and patience, much as a studio might host experiments in form and texture. A gallery of life reviews shows how decisions in one lifetime echo into later ones, encouraging responsibility without dogma. Practices rooted in this framework often emphasize immersion in visualization, journaling, and meditative observation to translate non-physical structures into personal insight. From a practical standpoint, the idea of an architectural space between lives provides a resilient model for growth. It invites ongoing reflection on alignment between intentions and actions, and it reframes setbacks as rearrangements within a larger plan rather than failures. It also highlights how relationships across lifetimes can influence present choices, not as destiny, but as patterns to notice and gently rework. For those exploring this topic, the most useful elements tend to be clear mental pictures, language that names parts of the space, and concrete routines that reinforce self-awareness. In this view, the architecture becomes a living toolkit for living with intention, curiosity, and a steady willingness to revise one's approach as awareness expands. Modes of non-embodied consciousness. Between lives is described by several esoteric frameworks as a non-physical space that exists between incarnations. Consciousness there is said to be non-embodied yet continuous, capable of sustained awareness without a physical vessel. In these accounts, the space is organized by guides, counsels, or a higher aspect of the self, and experiences unfold outside ordinary time. The purpose often cited is to sustain learning, healing, and planning for future growth. People describe sensations of spacious clarity, a sense of timeless attention, and an orientation towards serving broader intentions. One mode centers on memory and thematic continuity. The soul is said to retain preferences, skills, and patterns that recur across lifetimes. A healer might be drawn to compassion and energetic work again and again, learning through different contexts but pursuing a similar core purpose. Reports describe a review of lessons learned, where intentions are weighed and future opportunities are proposed. This mode supports a sense of self that survives birth, not as rigid memory, but as a living thread that informs choices upon re-embodiment. Another facet involves planning and decision-making for future incarnations. Souls collaborate with guides to map possible life scenarios, choosing families, cultural settings, and challenges that will best propel growth. The planning process often includes setting objectives like mastering patience, understanding vulnerability, or fostering creative problem-solving. The idea of a soul contract appears in many accounts, suggesting relationships and themes are arranged to trigger learning opportunities. Non-embodied consciousness also engages in energetic work and non-local perception. Souls can sense distant states, exchange guidance through subtle channels, and review energy patterns tied to karma. Some describe lucid impressions of upcoming tasks arriving as intuitive insight rather than explicit facts. A further mode is witness consciousness, the sense of pure awareness that observes thoughts and feelings without attachment. Together, these modes sketch a flexible map of a space where awareness persists beyond the body and guides the journey into embodiment, memory, identity, and continuity across incarnations. Across many traditions, the space between incarnations is described as a continuous stream of consciousness that survives bodily death. In these views, awareness does not simply switch off at death. It moves into a transitional field where experiences from the former life can leave residual impressions. Practically, that means memory and learning may carry over, but how vividly that occurs differs from system to system. Some schools portray the in-between as neutral ground where the soul rests and reviews choices, while others describe it as a dynamic classroom of impulses, unresolved karma, and evolving intent. The idea is not only about what happened previously, but about how that material shapes what comes next. Memory is not simple. Memory in this space is often discussed as latent or filtered rather than a literal recall of every detail. Some traditions speak of karmic seeds that influence preferences, fears, and aptitudes in future lives, rather than a full diary of past events resurfacing at will. In others, practitioners claim pathways to memory through disciplined introspection or guided contemplation, enabling a person to retrieve symbols or themes rather than exact scenes. Near-death experiences also contribute to the discourse, with reports of life reviews and the sense that personal values echo back as guides for the next incarnation. Memory can be elusive, depending on the soul's trajectory and the spiritual framework at play. Identity in the between-life space is understood as more than the personality a person shows in daily life. Many theories propose a lasting essence, a core self that persists while outer forms change with each birth. Others emphasize that identity is a tenor of wisdom and intention rather than a fixed mask, so continuity shows up as patterns of choices, affinities, and heart motivations rather than identical memories. When past life memories are reported, they are frequently described as fragments aligned with a larger sense of self, rather than full biographies. In practice, this leads to a nuanced picture of continuity, a thread of recognizable values threading through disparate life stories. Continuity across incarnations often informs how people approach present relationships and ethical decisions. If an enduring self is seen as the bearer of learned lessons, compassion and humility can be cultivated as strategies for growth in each new life. The in-between space thus becomes a workshop for aligning motive with action, not a mere archive of experiences. Whether memory is retrievable or symbolic, the belief in continuity can shape life choices, helping one prioritize long-term transformation over short-term gain. The path is personal. Ultimately, the space of infinite awareness invites a perspective where the self is less about a single lifetime and more about an evolving journey through awareness itself. Implications for thought and existence. Across many spiritual and therapeutic frameworks, the space between incarnations is described as a state of heightened awareness where the soul rests, reviews, and plans. In these accounts, consciousness is believed to retain memories of lessons learned, assess karmic or relational patterns, and interact with guides or counsels. Practitioners describe scenes of quiet contemplation and collective counsels that precede a new life. This view provides a sense of continuity for the self that outlives a single life, framing existence as ongoing rather than episodic. It can shape daily meaning. If thought is granted a longer arc than birth to death, cognitive focus shifts toward long-term patterns and transformative learning. Memory of non-physical experiences, whether metaphorical or alleged, can influence how people interpret events and attribute cause. Decision-making may favor future-oriented goals over immediate gratification. Creative problem-solving can widen when inner narratives include purpose-driven themes, prompting novel approaches to conflicts and constraints. Existence in this view invites a reconsideration of responsibility, extending accountability to future selves and to a broader collection of beings across lifetimes. Some find that daily ethics shift toward consistency, patience, and generosity because actions are imagined as influencing more than one life. Relationships may be seen as ongoing negotiations rather than isolated meetings. Yet critics highlight the risk of escapism or detachment if belief in a between-life space is used to justify avoidance of present problems. In practical terms, people explore this idea through reflective journaling, guided meditation, and compassionate inquiry to align actions with perceived longer arcs. Journaling prompts often ask what a past life review might reveal and how future intentions should be shaped. Therapies or coaching that reference between lives concepts emphasize grounding in concrete goals and relationships. Critical thinking and healthy skepticism help balance inspiration with action, so beliefs support resilience rather than retreat. In this exploration, we've sketched a map of consciousness that seems to endure beyond the current embodiment to a space of infinite awareness that lies between lives. We've weighed philosophical threads, cultural narratives, and personal hints that suggest continuity rather than a final curtain. We've considered how memory, intention, and the quality of our choices might echo into that wider space, and how glimpses of calm, wonder, or awe can arise when we imagine a horizon that isn't bound to a single lifetime. The takeaway is not a decree, but an invitation to sit with the mystery. What remains when the form dissolves, and how might that awareness shape the way we live now? If these ideas stirred something in you, a sense of vast possibility, or a quiet resonance with the idea of ongoing awareness, know that you're not alone. Your curiosity, your questions, and even your hesitations are part of a larger conversation about existence, memory, and meaning. If this felt meaningful, consider subscribing and joining the discussion. Share your reflections in the comments, or pass this on to someone who's wondering about what lies beyond day-to-day life. Your perspective matters, and the dialogue only grows richer when we bring it forward together. Looking ahead, we'll deepen the journey with future episodes that explore practices for engaging with altered states safely, conversations with thinkers from science, philosophy, and spirituality, and deep dives into traditions that speak to between-life states. We'll also look at how these ideas might inform daily life, relationships, purpose, and the way we cultivate compassion and curiosity. Until next time, may your curiosity guide you and your kindness anchor your path through the vastness.